During the last glacial maximum, human survival was an open question. Glaciers covered continents. Food was scarce. Yet, in the dim light of freezing caves, early humans spent precious calories creating art. And they didn't carve heroic hunters or the massive beasts they tracked. They carved women. Artifacts like the Venus of Willendorf and the Venus of Hohlefels share a highly specific anatomy. They are voluptuous figures carved in the round, with heavily emphasized breasts, abdomens, and reproductive features. Most notably, their faces are blank, obscured, or entirely absent. The carvers were not capturing individual portraits. This exact shape appears in archaeological sites stretching from the Pyrenees Mountains in France to the frozen plains of Siberia, and the practice of carving them spanned over 20,000 years. Early hunter-gatherers, separated by massive geographic divides and millennia of time, repeatedly reproduced the exact same female silhouette. Early 20th century male scholars often dismissed these statues as primitive erotica or simple fertility charms, a reflection of Victorian biases. Modern anthropologists take a different view. The sheer labor required to carve mammoth ivory or stone with flint tools suggests these figures held deep symbolic weight. Whether they were protective amulets, or maternal idols, or tools for sympathetic magic, these small stones represent the genesis of the Great Mother. They served as a psychological mirror for a species clinging to existence, looking to the female form as the literal vessel of life in a frozen, hostile world. By the 1970s, the interpretation of these ancient figures took a sharp political turn. The Lithuanian-American archaeologist Marija Gimbutas looked at the vast collection of prehistoric artifacts and proposed a sweeping new historical narrative. Gimbutas argued that before recorded history, Neolithic Europe was a matrifocal, egalitarian utopia. She called it Old Europe. According to her interpretation, these societies were entirely peaceful. They elevated the social status of women, and they worshipped a singular, life-giving great goddess. This peaceful era ended, she claimed, during the Bronze Age. Successive waves of nomadic, horse-riding pastoralists, known as the Kurgan culture, invaded from the Russian steppes. They brought with them a patrilineal society, a culture of warfare, and a pantheon of male sky gods that violently replaced the goddess. The academic community rejected her conclusions. Archaeologists pointed out that Gimbutas lacked hard stratigraphic evidence and heavily filtered the artifacts to fit her narrative. Critics argued she was projecting 1970s feminist ideals backward onto populations that left no written records. But the academic pushback barely mattered to the general public. Her books sold wildly. The idea of a lost, peaceful society governed by feminine principles offered an appealing alternative to the modern, industrialized, male-dominated world. Old Europe may be a historical fiction, but the massive popularity of Gimbutas's theory reveals something true about modern psychology. We still possess a deep, unmet hunger for the archetype of the Earth Mother. As the ice retreated and humans developed agriculture, the goddess archetype evolved. She transitioned from a pocket-sized survival charm into complex, stationary deities, tasked with managing the seasonal cycles of planting, rain, and harvest. In early Greek cosmogony, this force became Gaia. According to Hesiod's Theogony, she emerged from chaos to become the physical foundation of the world. She birthed the sky, the sea, and the first generations of gods without a male partner. In the Andes Mountains, the Quechua descendants of the Inca revere Pachamama. She is the direct sustainer of the crops and the llama herds. To this day, August festivals feature elaborate offerings of coca leaves and wine poured directly onto the soil to ensure her continued favor. Among the Akan people of West Africa, Asase Ya rules the soil. She provides the harvest, but she also enforces strict moral laws regarding how humans treat the land, requiring rituals of respect before farmers till the earth. Across completely disconnected continents, early agricultural societies arrived at the same conclusion. They personified the earth as a female life-giver because their daily survival depended entirely on the fertility of the soil beneath their feet. These independent myths share a darker parallel. the Earth Mother is never exclusively benevolent. To understand why, the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung and his students looked past the soil and into the human unconscious. Erich Neumann, a prominent Jungian theorist, proposed that the Great Mother archetype functions as a chthonic vessel, an ancient psychological container that holds the terrifying duality of nature. This diagram illustrates Neumann's concept. On one side, the good mother nurtures, provides fertility, and ensures abundant harvests. But it also shows the terrible mother. The earth inevitably devours the dead. When balance is lost, she produces devastating earthquakes and starves her children. The mythology reflects this. Gaia did not just birth the heavens, she birthed the 100-headed monster Typhon to wage war against the Olympians. Pachamama protects the Andean farmers, but if she is neglected, she sends disease and drought. The Earth Mother is a psychological mirror of the ecosystem. She represents a brutal, closed-loop biological system that must constantly consume life in order to create it. For millennia, patriarchal sky gods, from Zeus to Yahweh, dominated global religions. The Earth Mother was pushed into the cultural background, subordinated or forgotten as societies industrialized. Then, in 1969, an atmospheric chemist named James Lovelock revived the ancient name. Working with microbiologist Lynn Margulis, he proposed the Gaia hypothesis. The hypothesis argues that living organisms interact with inorganic surroundings to form a synergistic, self-regulating system. In short, the Earth functions as a single biological organism that instinctively maintains the conditions necessary for life. The scientific model perfectly mirrored the ancient myth. By treating the biosphere as a living entity, biology began to blur with spirituality, giving humans a new framework to understand their relationship to the planet. This scientific and spiritual convergence revived the goddess in modern culture. Today, neo-pagan and druidic practitioners actively revere the earth, holding ceremonies at ancient sites to reconnect with the cycles of nature. That reverence bleeds directly into modern environmental urgency. Climate protesters march with signs invoking Mother Nature, using the ancient archetype to rally against ecological destruction. It raises the question, does it matter if Maria Gimbutas was wrong about Old Europe? Does it matter if we will never truly know what the Ice Age carvers intended when they shaped the Venus of Willendorf? Literal history misses the point. The goddess archetype survives precisely because she evolves. She is a psychological tool, constantly reinvented by humanity to reflect exactly what we need to see to survive our current environment. Today, by pushing the planet's atmosphere and oceans to their absolute biological limits, we are actively triggering her terrible mother aspect. The Earth Mother provides the only home we have ever known, but she is bound by the strict laws of balance. If we threaten the survival of the system, she will not hesitate to reclaim us.